break on this Wednesday.
Indeed looking forward to it. Nathan, thanks very much. Nathan Hager there. Coming up with Karen Moscow, if you're listening on Sirius XM, channel 119. If you're tuned in on London DAB digital radio, you will hear Bloomberg surveillance.
Okay, let's talk about stocks this morning. So we're gaining a foothold certainly in Europe after Wall Street's worst session in 3 weeks yesterday, a big slump also in European equities. Investors are weighing this continued volatility in the oil market and some fresh earnings like Netflix that Nathan just mentioned, also the pharma giants Roche and Akzo Nobel in Europe this morning. So let's bring in our guest, Patrick Armstrong, CIO at Plurimi Wealth. Patrick, you're pretty bullish on tech and healthcare. That's a call that I've heard from a number of people, but still this earnings season, the numbers are very difficult to gauge given how far and how fast we have moved in the space of a few months. So thoughts about earnings right now? We're still too positive, basically. Is that it?
Analysts are still too positive, or there's a lot of stale prices that analysts just haven't updated their estimates until they hear the quarterly call from companies. I think it's probably a bit of both of those. But it's hard to see how S&P 500 is only going to see earnings fall by about less than 10% this year. So estimates have been cut by about 18% from where they were at the start of the year. But coming into the year, analysts were forecasting almost 12% growth. So they're getting to something close to reality. But I think by the time we get through this year, I think estimates will probably need to fall 50% before it's done. So I think there's still a lot of cutting to happen. And for me, that's why I like the healthcare and the tech companies. Those are the sectors that obviously won't necessitate a lot of cut. And I think I'll get more bullish on indebted companies, cyclical and value companies, once those cuts are reflected in the consensus. And that negative sort of Damocles isn't hanging over those kind of companies.
So, but you think there will be throughout the year places to get into those kind of companies? I mean, 2021 earnings is what it's all about for them, right? I mean, 2020 is pretty much a write-off.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair take, that most investors, you can't be shocked by something negative right now. So you're getting a bit of a free pass, and companies will throw the kitchen sink and write off everything they can right now, knowing that investors will not be surprised by that. So that might set the scene for a recovery in 2021. And I think this probably will be the beginning of a regime change in terms of growth and value at some point, that the value companies that are now looking like they're trading at 6 and 7 times earnings, those aren't realistic earnings, but we'll get to the point where there is a realistic earnings that you can trade off of, and those will be 2021 numbers. The guidance that we're going to get from companies in the coming weeks, though, is that they have no idea how bad things are going to get, because no one's got a working crystal ball, and companies aren't any better positioned than anyone else because this is unknown, it's unprecedented. It's hard to see where the demand quickly comes back. And a month ago, I was more bullish on a V-shaped recovery, and now it's pretty clear to me we're not going to get that V-shaped recovery. So a month ago, I was talking about this fiscal stimulus, monetary stimulus, low oil prices going to push demand up. But things like the Munich Beer Festival, Oktoberfest being canceled, it just shows this isn't going to be a short-term hit, that millions of people into Munich aren't going to come. There's billions of revenue lost and things like that. So I'm not as bullish on the sharp recovery as I was. I still think we get that sharpish recovery, but it's probably a little further out than I was hoping for a month ago.
How worried are you then about kind of second, third waves of the coronavirus? Because that's what I've heard some of our other guests sort of look to and point to, that the big unknown is the kind of health issue going forwards. Is that your key concern too then?
That's definitely a wild card. No one knows. So a month ago we were talking about potential for herd immunity. Now there's a question, do you even get immunity? Can you get it a second time? And once we get through the summer period, is there influenza season happening at the same time as an uptick in COVID-19 again? Definitely unknowns, definitely potential headwinds that are completely realistic. And that's one of the reasons I'm not as bullish as I was. I think stocks were cheaper a month ago. They've gone up. And I think the outlook for me has changed and gotten a little worse over the last month, my expectations.
Let me ask you about something weird. I'll throw you a curveball here. Well, it was weird, but now people are talking about it so much that it may be normal again. What do you think about perpetual bonds? It's something that previously I'd only read about, apparently Yale has one from a Dutch water company that's been around for 372 years, and they collect about 100 euros of interest a decade. But Spain is talking about this as a possibility to fund recovery money. What do you think about that? Do you think investors would have an appetite for something like perpetual debt?
I don't know who will have it. It's a good way to get your duration, I guess. And we are going to get into things that we've never seen before. So MMT was talked about as a radical proposition that's becoming more mainstream. We've got helicopter money potentially coming, $1,200 to every U.S. citizen. It's happened already. It's not a stretch to see how the Fed gets from just buying bonds to just basically printing money that doesn't have to be paid back with debt. United Kingdom is doing that already, so the Bank of England is just supplying the government money rather than the government issuing gilts. Eventually they'll issue gilts to cover that, but there's going to be mechanisms. Maybe even we'll get into something which is completely bizarre, a zero coupon perpetual, which is essentially just printing money where you never have to pay any coupon and never pay it back, and it's just a bookkeeping entry for a state or a nation to finance its books.
Yeah, interesting, because of course the Bank of England and the government have kind of denied that it's helicopter money in the UK. That's a whole nother debate, though. We shan't go there. Thank you so much, Patrick Armstrong, for joining us, CIO at Plurimi Wealth. Really great to get your view. Yeah, so much more pessimistic than he was a month ago.
Christine Lagarde today said the governing council has never even discussed helicopter money.
Yes, insisting that they
have not. You would think that a group of intellectuals, who read the news...
Yeah.
Would, at least when they're sitting by the fireplace having a glass of brandy, would at least bring it up, with open minds. But I guess they haven't even talked about it. It hasn't even been mentioned. Anyway, surveillance is up next. If you're in the U.S., you'll hear Daybreak. This is Bloomberg.
Okay, people, I've got the daily checklist. Who today has ignored a call on purpose? Tick. Talked yourself out of a workout? Tick. Spent far too long scrolling on your phone? Tick. Here's another for your list. BritBox. Streaming the BBC, ITV, Channel 5, and now Channel 4. All in one place and ad-free. So add BritBox to your list and get a 30-day free trial of the biggest box of British box sets. Search BritBox free trial. Tick. Biggest compared to other SVOD providers. Auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless cancelled. T's and C's apply.
From cafes by the sea to restaurants in the city, at Starling Bank, we'll help you keep your business flying high. With flexible overdrafts of up to £150,000, we'll get your cash flow running smoothly. Your business is ready for takeoff. Starling Bank, helping business fly.
This is a message from the government. Coronavirus is a national emergency, life-threatening for people of all ages everywhere in the UK. To help save lives, stay home. Only go outside for food, health reasons, daily exercise, or to work, but only if you cannot work from home. Stay home. Anyone can get it, and anyone can spread it. Coronavirus. Stay home, protect the NHS, save lives.
Middle of the world, 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, on the Bloomberg Business app, and on Quick Take by Bloomberg. This is Bloomberg Radio.
Live from the Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studios, this is Bloomberg Daybreak for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020. Coming up this hour.
The oil rout deepens as Brent crude hits a 2-decade low.
The Senate approves nearly $500 billion for small business.
The coronavirus outbreak eases in parts of the country and picks up in others.
And with Americans at home, Netflix reports the strongest growth in its history.
New York Governor Cuomo plans a regional reopening and eases an elective surgery ban, plus a Senate panel backs spy agencies on Russia's preference for Donald Trump. I'm Michael Barr. More ahead.
I'm John Stashower in sports. Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement to be reunited with Tom Brady at Tampa Bay. Alex Rodriguez wants to own the Mets.
That's all straight ahead on Bloomberg Daybreak. On Bloomberg 1130 New York, Bloomberg 99.1 Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 106.1 Boston, Bloomberg 960 San Francisco, Sirius XM 119, and around the world on BloombergRadio.com and via the Bloomberg Business app.
Good morning, I'm Karen Moscow.
And I'm Nathan Hager. Bloomberg Daybreak brought to you by BNY Mellon's Pershing. Learn why the world's most sophisticated advisory firms and broker-dealers rely on Pershing to help them improve profitability, create efficiency, attract talent, and manage risk at Pershing.com.
U.S. futures rebounding from yesterday's losses. 5:01 on Wall Street, and we check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. S&P futures up 42 points. Dow futures up 322. NASDAQ futures up 120. The DAX in Germany's up 1.6%. CAC in Paris up 1.2%. And the FTSE 100 is up 1.7%. Nikkei 225 in Japan fell 0.7%, while the Hang Seng in Hong Kong was up 0.4%. 10-year Treasury down 430 seconds, yield 0.58%. Yield on the 2-year 0.20%. Nathan.
Well, Karen, oil continues its historic slide. Brent crude is joining the sell-off as the global benchmark hits a 2-decade low. The White House is exploring ways to stem the rout. We spoke with Energy Secretary Dan Brulette.
We've now contracted to take approximately 23 million barrels of oil, put that into the strategic reserve. You also saw the president's tweet. I'm going to work closely with Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin to see what we might do to look at the laws and the facilities that Congress has directed us to create, the lending facilities, to ensure that those are available to the energy industry as well.
An epic collapse in demand has oil companies reeling and the government looking to stem the fallout. Most recently, President Trump brokered a deal with producers to pull nearly 10 million barrels of crude from the market.
But that won't be enough. Demand has collapsed by at least twice that amount, and storage tanks will keep filling as travel restrictions keep planes on the ground and drivers off the road. Without production caps or shut-ins, commodities hedge fund manager Pierre Enduran said oil could fall below zero again.
Things are not going to get better very soon because we still are in oversupply. Inventories around the world will keep on going up, so it will force shut-ins. Basically, we need to have those shut-ins to rebalance the market. And then things will get better. But we cannot ask OPEC Plus to do all the work, and cuts happening in a month or two from now are not enough. We need the shut-ins to happen now. Oil cannot be moved.
Checking prices now. West Texas Intermediate crude for June delivery is at $11.06 a barrel. WTI for July delivery is at $19.22, and Brent is trading near the lowest level in 2 decades at $17.50 a barrel.
Oh, turning to earnings now. Netflix is out with the strongest results in its history. The company added more than 15 million subscribers in the first quarter as the coronavirus outbreak kept billions of people at home in front of the TV. At the same time, Netflix warns the boom won't last. Dan Morgan covers the company for Synovus Trust.
They're trying to be smart about this and say, look, we're not going to keep up at a pace of 15 million people per quarter. Let's kind of put some water on the fire here and get back into some sort of realistic number in terms of new subscribers.
Netflix expects the surge in subscribers to come at the expense of future growth. Shares are down 1% in the pre-market.
While Netflix thrives, small business is reeling, but more help is on the way. The Senate passed nearly $500 billion in new relief funds for small companies, including $320 billion to help keep workers on the payrolls. Here's Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin.
We've already impacted about 30 million workers. There'll be a lot more, so we look forward to this having a big impact on the economy.
The House could take up the bill as soon as tomorrow, and we'll get more on the measure today from Nancy Pelosi. Tune in for an interview with the House Speaker at noon Eastern on Bloomberg Radio and Television.
COVID-19 cases across the country now number more than 800,000. 44,000 people have succumbed to the disease. The pandemic is easing in some parts of the country and picking up in others. We have Bloomberg team coverage on the outbreak now, beginning in New York with Bloomberg's John Tucker. Good morning, John.
And good morning, Nathan. The latest numbers have daily infections across the country rising 5.7%. That is the biggest increase in 12 days. New Jersey reported a record increase in fatalities, 380 lives lost in a single day. Meantime, the spread is slowing in New York with the fewest new cases since March. That is the state preparing plans to reopen in phases. I'm John Tucker in New York. Now here's Courtney Donahoe in our Bloomberg 1061 Boston newsroom.
Massachusetts reports more than 1,500 new infections and 150 deaths. Projections show the state at the peak of the outbreak as fatalities approach 2,000.
The data shows we're still very much in the grips of a pandemic here in Massachusetts. I know that's hard to hear and it's hard for me to say.
Governor Charlie Baker says we're in the thick of the surge. He's ordered schools closed for the remainder of the academic year. I'm Courtney Donahoe. Now here's Martin DeCaro from our Bloomberg 99.1 newsroom in Washington.
Deaths in the D.C. region have passed 1,000. Confirmed cases in Maryland, Virginia, and the district approach 27,000. While the outbreak is flattening in other metro areas, White House health officials don't see a decline in D.C. yet. Still, local leaders are holding out hope to reopen the economy when limits on non-essential businesses expire in May and June. I'm Martin DeCaro in Washington. Now on the outbreak in California, here's Ed Baxter in the Bloomberg 960 San Francisco newsroom.
The state is reporting an increase of positive testing, up over 7%. Hospitalizations and ICU up for the first time in several days, and deaths of particular concern, a 5% increase. Governor Gavin Newsom.
We are still seeing spikes. We're still seeing people tragically lose their lives. We're still seeing concentration of positives.
And he says there needs to be a focus on elder care and that the state is not ready to reopen anytime soon. In San Francisco, I'm Ed Baxter, Bloomberg Daybreak.
All right, Ed, thank you. S&P futures again moving higher, up 38 points. Dow futures up 294, NASDAQ futures up 115. The euro is at 1.0866 against the dollar, British pound 1.2343, and the yen 107.58. And straight ahead, we have the latest world and national news, and this is Bloomberg.
All right, Karen, thank you. It is 5:07 on Wall Street. Now let's bring in Michael Barr for more on what's going on around the world. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Nathan. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo took a step toward reopening the state, allowing elective surgeries to take place starting next week in regions without large coronavirus outbreaks. Cuomo, speaking in Buffalo, says while hospitals downstate and in New York City in particular remain over capacity, some upstates are laying off staff due to lack of need. Governor Cuomo also told President Trump that the Navy hospital ship, the Comfort, which was sent to New York late last month, isn't needed anymore. Following his meeting with the president, Governor Cuomo said the ship did help save lives.
172 people were in the Comfort, and I believe the Comfort not only brought comfort, but saved lives.
President Trump also said he will work with Cuomo to double coronavirus testing in the next few weeks. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy says stay-at-home orders will remain in effect in his state.
Listen, I hate to be Dr. No here, but we've made an enormous amount of progress, but we've got to continue to stay home and stay away from each other. That's the only hope. We haven't plateaued yet. We still have to get to the top and then come down the other side. And the only way we do that is if we keep the social distancing we're doing.
Fatalities now total more than 4,700 in the state. In Connecticut, there are more than 1,400 virus deaths. The bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee concluded that the nation's spy agencies correctly assessed that Russia interfered with the 2016 election in order to hurt Hillary Clinton and help Donald Trump. The committee said the assessment was backed up by the intelligence that the committee reviewed. President Trump says he would halt the issuance of green cards for 2 months, stopping short of a sweeping immigration ban.
This pause on new immigration will also help to conserve vital medical resources for American citizens. A short break from new immigration, depending on the time we're talking about, will protect the solvency of our healthcare system and provide relief to jobless Americans.
Trump says he will likely sign the executive order today. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and on Quick Take by Bloomberg, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Nathan.
Okay, Michael, thank you. It is 5:09 on Wall Street. Now time for the Bloomberg Sports Update. Good morning, John Stashower.
All right, good morning, Nathan. Everyone knew there'd be trades leading up to the NFL draft, but no one really expecting a blockbuster involving a future Hall of Famer who had been retired. But after Tom Brady signed with Tampa Bay, Rob Gronkowski became interested in unretiring. The Patriots still owned his rights, but the deal was made. Gronk to the Bucs with the 7th-round pick. The Patriots get a 4th-rounder. Gronk told Fox Sports he always said when he had that feeling again, he'd be ready, and he's ready. 5-time Pro Bowler in New England who has caught over 500 passes, has scored more than 70 touchdowns in almost every one of them. Passes thrown by Brady. The Bucs own the worst one-loss percentage in all of sports. Yesterday, odds on them winning the Super Bowl dipped from 17-1 to 14-1. NFL MVP Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, will be on the Madden video game cover, which at times has been seen as a curse, but last year it was Patrick Mahomes, and he won the Super Bowl. Alex Rodriguez and Jennifer Lopez have indeed retained J.P. Morgan to represent them in raising capital to try and buy the Mets. The two, who are not yet married, are said to have a net worth of roughly $700 million. The Mets were recently valued at $2.6 billion, so they would need plenty of partners, and this might not be the best time to find them. But if it really happened, presumably A-Rod would move into a role like Derek Jeter has in Miami running the franchise. 18 MLB teams have said they will not lay off any staff. The Mets and Yankees are not among them. Commissioner Rob Manfred has given teams the okay to do so starting in May. John Stashower, Bloomberg Sports. Nathan?
All right, John, thank you. And with growing speculation that sports could be played without fans when they resume after the coronavirus pandemic, one prominent golfer is objecting. Rory McIlroy says a Ryder Cup without fans would be not having a Ryder Cup. He says he'd rather delay the golf tournament until next year than hold out the possibility of playing in September without spectators. Futures moving higher this morning after yesterday's losses. S&P futures are up 43 points now. Dow futures up 330. NASDAQ futures a gain of 132 points. You're listening to Bloomberg Daybreak.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know, with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
Determination and operational strength are both essential factors for growth in asset management. I'm Steve Meyer, President, Head of SEI's Investment Manager Services Division. We know that disruptive forces create opportunities around the world. If you see potential in change, our industry specialists will maximize SEI's integrated platform of data and risk management, global investment operations, compliance support, and investor services to position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize change.
Business is constantly evolving. Is your financial printer evolving to keep ahead of the curve? At Command Financial, we are redefining financial printing by providing industry-leading expertise, leveraging technology, and honing processes and best practices. Every day, Command helps SEC registrants, as well as members of their working groups, including securities attorneys and investment bankers, prepare, file, and disseminate regulatory and disclosure documents, such as registration statements, M&A documents, and mutual fund prospectuses and reports. Command provides a full range of services to help you effectively complete your deal, meet your disclosure requirements, and achieve your shareholder communications objectives. Visit our website at commandfinancial.com and learn how we're evolving, not only with the times, but also with your business requirements. Command Financial, redefining financial printing.
Why is delivery? Did you know that players of People's Postcode Lottery have raised over £500 million for charities and good causes? They've also won £47 million in prizes so far this year, and it could be your postcode next. Visit postcodelottery.co.uk/radio before midnight on the 23rd of April to play in the May draws. PPL managed lotteries on behalf of good causes. 16 plus, conditions apply, play responsibly.
The loungewear essentials that ease you into your comfort zone. The Fitbit that helps you step up your fitness goals. The yoga mat that turns your lounge into a studio. With a choice of ways to pay, you can enjoy being the best possible you. You can say yes when it matters most at very.co.uk. Goods and services provided by Shop Direct Home Shopping Limited. Credit provided by Shop Direct Finance Company Limited.
Dating can be tricky, especially when you can't meet face-to-face. So it's time to get creative with the easy way to replace physical dates, Video Call from Bumble, the dating app where women make the first move. Here's Anna Williamson and Tom Reed-Wilson with some tips on connecting online.
It's a bit harder to flirt with limited body language, but nothing beats a smile and some eye contact to show them you're interested.
And have an activity plan for your date. This will help break the ice.
Download Bumble today.
Okay, people, I've got the daily checklist. Who today has ignored a call on purpose? Tick. Talked yourself out of a workout? Tick. Spent far too long scrolling on your phone? Tick. Here's another for your list. BritBox. Streaming the BBC, ITV, Channel 5 and now Channel 4. All in one place and ad-free.